Groan Scratch Groan by username Grakee-Chan. I woke up in the same room I always do. The room had covered windows and almost rotting wallpaper. I got off the mattress on the floor and walked out the door. I was met in the kitchen by my family. They all had their gas masks on. "Going to scavenge?" I asked. My mum just nodded in reply. I went to the closet and got my mask on too. We left, armed with a rifle and several flashlights. The land was dark and barren. The lack of life sent shivers down my spine. We walked for miles and finally, we found a house. We ran inside to see what we could find. Unfortunately, there was nothing. No food, water, or supplies. Our searching was paused by a loud groan. We knew what it was. My dad pulled out the gun, his eyes darting from each part of the room. I shone my flashlight where the groans were coming from. We saw a malformed creature. It had arms and legs where it shouldn't be. Its mouth was dangling down, stretched as long as a golden retriever. My sister shrieked in fear as the thing ran towards us, growling. Before it got to my sibling, my dad shot it in the head. I felt sorry for it. Well, the human that it was before. A virus had spread around, turning humans into mutant cannibals. All we knew is that it started with a fatal cough. The whole group or colony we lived with got infected and my family ran away. After that terrible encounter we ran home. I got changed and went to bed. Hours later, I woke up to the sound of groaning, that dreaded sound. I looked round to see nothing. I ran downstairs and saw it. A creature got in. It seemed to be eating something, I didn't know what though. I stared in shock. I sighed in relief when it got bored and left. I ran to lock the door once I was sure it's left. I turned on the light to see what damage it had done. I screamed when I saw my mum. She was mutilated, her blood everywhere. I dropped to the ground and cried. My father ran in and stood in shock, tears threatening to leave his eyes. We had no time to grieve for Mum's body because it could spread the virus, so the next day we buried her. Everyone was filled with impending doom. We were all sitting in silence, and then we heard it, a cough. Me and my dad looked at my sister. She started uncontrollably crying because she knew her time was up. Dad got up crying and took a rifle from the shelf. He pointed a gun at her. 1, 2, 3, he counted. My sister smiled as the bullet went through her head. I cried and cried, not caring that my hair was getting wet. My dad and I buried her body by her mother's. I didn't feel alive anymore. My father told me to stay home and he went scavenging. I protested, but I stayed. Long story short, my dad never came back. I can't do it anymore. I'm going to find a monster. I want to end my suffering. This is going to be my last log. Goodbye, world. I closed the book me and my friends found in the abandoned house. I started to laugh as my friends looked traumatized. Do you lot really think this is real? I laughed. My friends just looked at each other. One friend shrieked as we heard a loud scratching noise. We booked it out of there. I am currently writing this in my closet because I'm hiding from it. It's in my room, creaking closer, groaning, scratching and groaning.